What up, everyone? This is Mr. Lord, Dr. Professor, Dark Joker, here with another edition of Traditional Fans with Opinions, where I'll give my reviews for whoever I watched, read, or played today. And who are Traditional Fans with Opinions? That is myself, and that is you, the viewers. With all that being said, on with the reviews. Bye Bye Earth, Season 2, Episode 3. So, in this episode, basically, Gaff has a sword that Guinness was supposed to find. Belle learns about it, and basically Gaff tells her that it technically belongs to Adonis because he inherited it from his father. But basically, Gaff will not give it to Adonis unless Adonis relinquishes like the collections of swords he has. And so then later, you know, Sherry like jokingly flirts with Belle. Like, I don't know if it's like a serious, like she's into Belle. It wouldn't be surprising. I mean, I'm not read source material, so I don't know much about if she's serious or not. But it wouldn't be surprising if Sherry's actually into Belle. Anyway, but Gaff is a little jealous because he's into Sherry. And basically, Sherry, Belle, Bennett, Guinness, and Gaff, they all go into like this room to meet with the king. Talk about this peace treaty. But the king has basically been mutated. It's some like monster. It like eats Guinness. Sherry becomes possessed by the kingdom's god, who tells the group to not fight the monster and tells Sherry to kill it with like a song of destruction, but she can't bring herself to kill her own father. So the king, gains enough sense. He tells Belle to kill him, to basically pull him out of his misery. And then so Belle does that. She kills him, but something happens that causes her to see like a younger version of herself, like some vision. And the her younger self talks in like some computer terms, saying Belle should not have awakened and wants to shut Belle off. Belle like basically kills her younger self, and the thing and the whole monster disintegrates. And Guinness revealed to still be alive, but the king is dead. Adonis appears and then reveals that he caused the king to transform into that monster. And then Sherry's possessed by the deity again, and the god orders that Belle should be arrested for violating the god's decree. Then Sherry faints. Gaff carries Sherry away, who since she's fainted, and basically, Gaff follows, the god. And a bunch of guards try to attack Belle, but Belle beats him. And then she starts fighting Adonis, and then she breaks Adonis's new sword, which is called Rusty Nail, but it repairs itself. And Adonis reveals that Rusty Nail can spread the deteriorating power he has, and it causes Rundine, Belle's sword, to break, and Belle then just falls to the ground. So yeah, so like just a weird thing. I mean, Belle coming to conflict into like the whole religious organization coming in conflict with the kingdom. I don't think that should be surprising. She definitely operates outside of the norm as far as like society's concerned. I mean, she's the only one to not be like a part animal, part human, type being. She's like basically she's just human. Also, you have her and Adonis and stuff. I mean, basically they're both like fighting each other. Like, I mean, yeah, I mean Adonis has basically gone full villain right now. So I mean, I mean, it's hard to say what his motives are, and Gaff's motives hard to say what is. I mean, is Gaff a villain? Is he like a hero? Like, what's the deal? So there's some intrigue regarding like the motives of Gaff and Adonis. There's some intrigue there, and next week we'll see how Belle deals with her sword being gone. Like, basically, like what happens to it. So we'll deal with that. We'll deal with her basically being seen as like a criminal by the church, and now there's like with basically with everything from throughout the season, basically a lot of stuff is starting to come to a head. I don't know how long this season will be. Will it be 10 episodes like last season's? So I mean, the pace could quicken up, especially with there aren't that many volumes in the manga. There's only I think 4 volumes in the manga. Same thing with like the original novel series. There's only like 4 volumes, so there doesn't seem to be that much left. So probably soon we'll see more about what happens with everyone. Like, how are Belle's friends going to react to her basically probably being in prison? Which, I mean, she's been in prison before. It's not like it's her first time. But now she doesn't have her sword with her. Like, that's going to be interesting to see. As far as this episode goes, I think it was a decent episode. I think it was better than the previous two. Like, I would say, I think it's better than the two that came before. Like, this definitely has some interest with, like, the monster, Adonis basically being a villain now. I hope his motivations are not completely retarded. I hope it's actually decent reasons. Like it's actually the good writing as far as his motivations are. I hope it's not like, oh, he got rejected, which I mean which is very possible and might be the case. Or it could just been a final nail to coffin in his long time, like all the stuff does with his like deteriorating power, how it affects him. Like hopefully Adonis's motivations are actually well written, like from a story perspective. Well, so as far as episode, I think it was a decent episode. Interested in next week's, and I hope it's good. Fire Force season 3, episode 3. So in this episode, Shinra and Joker finally reach Burns, and Shinra starts his big fight with Burns, which I can tell you, I've read the manga, at least most of it. I can tell you, this will be a very good fight. Basically all Squad 8 is heading toward, is trying to save Obi. And then, like, basically, you see the beginning of the fight between Burns and Shinra, and then meanwhile, the rest of the squad is basically getting there and starting to fight the other members. Now, while they're heading there, Arthur falls out the truck. No one notices till later. And then, basically, like, which I'm not gonna say anything about as far as Arthur goes for this arc, but things do get interesting for Arthur. And as far as this episode is concerned, like basically, and basically, it's still like setup. It's beginning of all the fights, but there's a lot of good fights upcoming. And then, basically, they're fighting all the White Clad, all the Fire Force members who are helping them. And then, yeah, I mean, it's still basically set up. Technically, it's still set up, but that happens when you begin the arc. You have all your setup chapters or episodes in this case. Kind of like how crap. How many episodes of setup did One Piece have in the beginning of Egghead? Like almost like 10 episodes or whatever just for setup. Anyway, but no, this was a very good episode. It was funny seeing the lieutenant just being like, "We're rebels. We don't care about the rules now," and seeing everyone like just being like, "Okay." So I mean, like it was just fine. Then they're like, "Brick, Arthur fell out of the truck," and the lieutenant's like, "That's why we don't stick. That's why we don't stand up in the truck." Even though he was okay with everyone staying in the truck because they were all rebels. Like it was just funny. Yeah, so I thought this was a pretty good episode, and this arc is a very good arc in the manga, and I'm looking forward to next week's Teogonia episode 2. So in this one, Kai eats all these like godstones, and basically like it makes him very powerful. Like he just grows in strength. Then he gets like these divine marks or something, supposed to make him look like a guardian bearer. And then like so, people start noticing him more because he's stronger than he was. Because basically he was seen as a weakling, and we're like, oh, he's stronger now. And then Lady Jost, who's like the she's basically like the princess of the village, basically. Like she notices and she decides to train him. She wants to see how strong he is. Then Ty realizes that his markings only appear if he's trying his hardest, and he just basically, however strong Lady Jost is, she wasn't strong enough to make him try harder, so his markings didn't appear. While her markings did appear. Now she obviously seems to have more control for her markings than Kai does because she's had hers longer, so it makes sense. And Kai's not used to having strength. And then basically, and Jost explains that even though she's powerful, she does not partake in battles because a lot of times the women don't do that. But she still wants to be strong to help protect the village. Even and she is supposed to be strong because it does help like the land's god or something. Yeah, I don't necessarily understand how a lot of that works, but it's very interesting. And so basically Jost has to go to this village, like go somewhere else, like I think for some ritual for the god, and then she like wants Kai to accompany her. And so basically Kai and like some of his friends, they were like a squadron assigned with protecting Jost. All Kai's friends ask him like, "Hey, we heard basically like, hey, we heard rumors that we were all assigned to this because the Lady Jost asked for you specifically," and they're like, "So you might explain that?" He's like, I don't know." He basically doesn't want to confirm that the rumors were true because that could invite some questions, and because Jost does not want to know, doesn't want really anyone to know that, especially her father, know that she's training in order to fight better. And basically, there's still a lot of stuff going on. Kai's learn more about his own strength, like what's going on, how it potentially could connect to like some memories he has, and how like his powers, like he's able to summon fire. Like his powers, they're called abilities, they're not called magic. So like when Kai mentions the term magic, Jost doesn't understand what it is. And like she just calls it abilities. So like, it's like this is an isekai, so we know that Kai basically is a reincarnation of some dude who like died or something. Where he got hit by a truck or train like other isekai protagonists, or how it will ever happen. Like we know Kai is a reincarnation, so I know Kai doesn't understand all his memories. Like he can't fully process everything, kind of like with Faraway Paladin, where the main protagonist in that, you know, has like can't really like he doesn't understand. He has a lot of memories, but of his past life, but he doesn't necessarily always understand his past memories, especially when he's a young child. So Teogonia is operating a similar thing to that, where Kai is very similar to Will, where like Will, Kai, was reincarnated and has past memories, but sometimes, at least early on, is having trouble fully processing those memories. Now, in case of Father Paladin, Will probably does have a better idea of processing all that, especially like I haven't read Faraway Paladin, so I don't know if there's anything the anime skipped, especially like with all the time jumps that seem to occur. So I don't know how much Will knows about his past life. But in the case of Teogonia, we know Kai seems to not be fully aware of everything. He remembers some terms, but there's still a lot he's trying to figure out, especially now that he's more powerful. Basic, like, because he found a bunch of like basically stuff to eat to raise his strength because there was a battle that had just happened. Yeah, it was like, yeah, during the battle, you'll see a lot of those on the ground. Yeah, it's a freaking buffet basically. Yeah, I mean it is a little weird that they eat a lot, eat all that stuff, but it makes sense. And this was a decent episode. I thought that was pretty good. Definitely like explains a lot of stuff. Introduces everything. So like Lady Jost is developed. I don't recall her being involved too much in the last episode, if she was in it, but this was a good episode. I think it does set up a lot for the rest of the season, and I think it was pretty good. Yeah, he just eats a bunch of godstones and becomes a guardian bearer, and he wants to keep that secret. He's not trying to tell anyone. He wants to I guess understand his powers more before he tells people that he has those like markings. But yeah, this was a good episode. I'm definitely looking forward to next week's. And that's it. Did y'all like the stuff I reviewed? And if you have your own opinions about all that, you put all that in the comments. Thank you for watching, and like, subscribe, and all that. And look forward to the next video.